A lion doesn't turn around when a small dog barks. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to explain or be seen. You will win in silence and let them watch from afar. Imagine this: a seed buried underground. No one sees it. No one cheers for it. The world walks over it, ignores it, forgets it's even there. But it doesn't need applause or validation. It just needs time, water, pressure, and silence. One day, it breaks the surface quietly, but with enough strength to crack concrete. That's you. That's what this is about. In a world of loud mouths and empty victories, your silence is your sharpest sword. While they're busy trying to impress the world with half-finished efforts and cheap applause, you're focused. You're in the shadows, building something they won't understand until it's too late. I understand we're living in a time where everyone is racing to be noticed. People post their meals, their fake happiness, their grinds, their wins, all for digital pats on the back. They want the world to clap for things they haven't even mastered yet. But what if I told you the real winners move differently? They're not tweeting their goals. They're not performing for likes. In the lab, at war with their own weakness, becoming beasts in silence. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This journey you're on isn't for spectators, doubters, or those who laughed at you when you were down. Let them watch, but from afar. Don't you dare go back to explain your silence. You don't owe them that. Let me break a lie real quick. You've been told that if people don't see your work, it doesn't count. That if you're not getting likes, you're not making progress. That's nonsense. Progress is quiet. Growth is lonely. Mastery is invisible. The most powerful changes happen when nobody is clapping for you. And that's exactly why it works. You're not supposed to be loud right now. You're supposed to be sharpening your blade. When the moment comes, when they finally see you, when your name is in places they never expected, it'll be too late for them to catch up. So let them gossip, let them doubt, let them watch, but only from afar. Your elevation isn't for public consumption. It's for legacy. Legacy is built when no one is watching, when you show up tired, push through silence, and bleed for it without a single round of applause. That's when you become unstoppable. If you're with me, if you feel this, type it in the comments right now. Win in silence. Own it. Live it. Now press that like button, hit subscribe, and stay with me. Lose like it did. The noise fades, the people fade, the validation fades, and there you are, just you and your reflection. That's when the real battle begins. Not the kind that happens in front of a crowd, but the kind that takes place inside your mind when nobody's watching. It's the rise that doesn't come with claps or hashtags. It's raw, it's real, and it's lonely. But don't confuse silence with weakness. Don't mistake solitude for punishment. This is where power is born. This is where the greats are made. Imagine a sculptor alone in a dark room, chisel in hand, hammer in the other, staring at a cold, unshaped block of stone. No cameras, no fans, just grit. Every strike sends shock through his bones. His hands blister, sweat drips, and his arms ache, yet he doesn't stop. Why? Because he knows what's trapped inside that stone. He sees what no one else can see. That's what growth looks like. Not pretty, not polished, not public, but powerful, quietly powerful. While the rest of the world scrolls, poses, and posts, you're out here chipping away at your future with no one clapping in the background. Then it creeps in, those thoughts that whisper in the middle of the night. Why am I doing this if no one sees it? What if I give everything I have and it still doesn't work? What if they were right about me? These questions are heavy, they're brutal, but they're not facts. They're fear in disguise, lies dressed up as logic. The world has trained you to believe that if progress isn't posted, it doesn't exist. That if success isn't visible, it's meaningless. That's a trap, and it's time to break free from it. Because real growth, the kind that changes your soul, your discipline, your life, happens away from the noise. See, when no one's around to clap, you learn to clap for yourself. You learn to push when you're tired. You learn to keep showing up when motivation dies, when the grind feels endless, and when nobody notices. That's the rise most people never survive. That's where most people quit. They want the results without the suffering. They want the praise without the patience. But you, my friend, are built differently. You didn't sign up for attention. You signed up for transformation. And transformation demands your silence, discipline, and that you show up for yourself, especially when no one else will. It's not easy. In fact, it'll break you down before it builds you up. Because silence is loud when you're insecure. It screams all the things you fear, that you're not enough, that you're behind, that you're wasting your time. But let me remind you of something stronger than all that noise. Diamonds are made where no light reaches. Pressure, time, heat. That's what creates something unbreakable. Not applause, not followers, not opinions, just pain, discipline, and stillness. The kind of stillness that looks empty from the outside, but inside is where your fire gets forged. So the next time you feel invisible, remember this: invisibility is your advantage. Your space to mess up, to get stronger, to train like no one's watching. Because they aren't, not yet, but they will. When they finally do, they'll think you came out of nowhere. You'll know you didn't appear. You prepared, quietly, relentlessly, in silence. Type this in the comments right now: I rise in silence. Say it with your chest. Let it echo in the empty room you've been grinding in. Let it remind you that the world doesn't need to see you just yet. You're not finished, you're still carving, and when you're done, they won't be able to ignore you. Even if they tried. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you what happens when discipline meets focus. Stay with me. What's coming next? Oh, they're not ready, but you will be. You owe them nothing. Stop explaining, stop performing. Never waste your time trying to explain who you are to people committed to misunderstanding you. Let's get one thing straight. You owe them nothing. Not your story, not your plans, not your progress, not your progress. You don't have to explain why you're quiet, defend your silence, or justify your ambition, healing, goal. Let the world wonder and guess, let them run their mouths while you run your race. Because the second you start performing for people's approval, you step off your path and into theirs. And that's how you lose yourself. Imagine this. You're climbing a mountain, steep, cold, silent. Every step requires breath. Every grip on the rock burns your fingers. You're alone, no one's watching. But instead of looking up and focusing on the climb, you turn around every few steps to wave at the people at the bottom, to explain where you're going, to prove that you're getting higher. You wave, you shout, you show them, And what happens? You lose your balance, you lose momentum. Some even laugh. Some say that's not the way up, or you should have taken the other path, or worse, you'll fall. Now you're stuck halfway up a mountain. You were born to conquer, distracted, discouraged, and doubting yourself. All because you tried to make them understand a view they've never seen. That's what happens every time you explain your moves to people who were never meant to understand your vision. It drains you, weakens you, makes you forget that the climb is sacred, not performative. They don't need to get it. They don't need to clap. They don't even need to know what you're building. Why? Because this is your mountain, not theirs. The lie we've been fed is that being misunderstood means you're doing something wrong. But the truth is, being misunderstood is often the greatest proof that you're doing something right. Most people don't recognize greatness in its early stages. They only notice once it's too big to ignore. And by then, you won't need their understanding. You'll have results. Let them watch the final product, not the process. You are not a public project. You are not a performer. You are not here to convince anyone of your worth. Your job is to become, not explain. And yes, I know what you're thinking. What if they think I'm acting different? Good. That means you're growing. What if they think I've changed? You have. You were supposed to. What if they talk behind my back? Let them talk. Just make sure they're facing your back because you're ahead. See, the moment you stop explaining, you reclaim your power. You stop giving them access to your energy. Some people only wanted to stay close so they could monitor your moves, not celebrate them. Marcus Aurelius once said to waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Just be one. That's it. You're not here to argue. You're here to evolve. You don't need to explain why you cut them off or justify why you're moving differently. You don't need to defend your standards. The ones who matter won't need an explanation. The ones who demand one were never rooting for you anyway. This journey you're on is not about applause. It's about alignment. Alignment will require silence. It'll require walking away without announcements, growing without validation, building without permission. Not everyone will understand your silence, and that's okay. It was never for them. This season of your life is not about being seen. It's about becoming so real, so strong, and so self-aware that even if no one claps, you're still moving forward. So next time you feel the urge to explain why you're distant, why you're locked in, why you're not the same, pause, smile, and say nothing. Because the ones who get it don't need it, and the ones who need it won't get it. Type it in the comments right now. I owe them nothing. Say it out loud. Let it free you. Let it remind you that you're not living for validation. You're living for purpose. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that silence is not weakness. It's focus, strength, and clarity. And what's coming next? Oh, it's going to speak so loud. You won't need to stay with me. You're only getting stronger. Let them watch, but from a distance. The people who left you when you were struggling should never be allowed a front row seat when you start winning. You don't have to delete them. You don't have to block them. You don't even have to respond. Just rise quietly, relentlessly, without turning back. Let them see what they thought you'd never become. But let them watch from afar, because not everyone deserves to sit close when the show starts. Some people gave up on you in Act 1. They don't get a VIP pass to Act 3. It's human to want to prove people wrong, to walk back into the room that once laughed at you and drop the mic. That feeling, that fire, is real. It burns in all of us. But the truth is, if you're walking back to show them, you're walking backward. That's not elevation. That's ego, and ego will always pull you down to a level you've already outgrown. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to become undeniable. And when that happens, trust me, they'll notice, even from miles away. Picture this, a rocket launching. The ones who truly support it step back, not forward, because that much power doesn't need an audience standing too close. And the ones who doubted it, they're watching, but through a screen from a safe distance, speechless. That's what real success looks like. Not loud, not messy, but distant and powerful. Because when you rise right, it stuns them into silence, not out of respect, but disbelief. And here's the twist. Many of the people who doubted you weren't just innocent bystanders. Some secretly hoped you'd stay stuck. Some didn't clap because they thought your growth would outshine their comfort. Others watched, not with love, but comparison. That's why they don't deserve to be close. They weren't there when you were struggling in the mud. They weren't there when you were rebuilding your mind at 2 a.m. They didn't check in when you went ghost, not because they respected your silence, but because they assumed you had failed. Let them stay right where they are, at a distance. It's not about bitterness. It's about boundaries. It's not about revenge. It's about respect for yourself. You're not holding a grudge. You're holding your ground. You're choosing to protect your peace over performing for people who vanished the moment life got real. That's growth. That's power. That's maturity. You ever see a king leave his throne to argue with a peasant? No, he doesn't come down. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't explain himself. He just rules. That's what you're doing now. You're stepping into your kingdom, building something that speaks for itself. And those who laughed at the foundation, they can marvel at the fortress, but from outside the gates. Let them watch, but from a distance. Let them scroll through your wins. Let them hear your name in rooms you never even told them you entered. Let them replay the moments they underestimated you again and again, while you move in complete silence. Because your job isn't to go back and give them a show. Your job is to keep building a life so strong, so elevated, so protected that they can only witness it, never touch it. I know some of you are thinking, but what if they come back? Oh, they will. When the success is visible, when your peace glows, when your silence starts to roar, that's when they'll try to re-enter. But by then, the price of admission will be too high. Not because you've changed, but because you've finally learned what you deserve. So stay focused, stay elevated. No announcements, no explanations, just distance. Type it in the comments right now. Let them watch from afar. That's your new boundary. That's your reminder. That's your power move. You're not here to impress the past. You're here to protect your future and what's coming next. They won't be ready for it, but you will be. Stay with me. Let's keep rising. Your progress is sacred. Protect it. Don't let people peek into your garden until the roots are deep enough to survive the storm. Your progress is not a performance. It's not a story for the feed. It's not a spectacle for others to judge, interrupt, or gossip about. It's sacred, personal, and fragile in its early stages. If you let too many people too close, you don't just risk being misunderstood. You risk being derailed. So guard it. Protect it like a flame in the wind. Not because you're hiding, but because what you're building deserves to grow without the weight of unwanted eyes. Imagine planting a seed. You water it daily, check on it, and speak life into it. But every time someone walks by, they dig it up just to see how it's doing, how long before it stops growing. That's what happens when you overshare your progress. Every opinion, every bit of advice, every side comment becomes another hand in your soil. And eventually, that seed starts to suffocate, not from a lack of potential, but from too much exposure. That's why silence isn't just a mindset, it's a strategy. It's how you protect what hasn't fully bloomed yet. Because the truth is, not everyone clapping is clapping out of love. Some clap just to get closer, to peek in, to measure themselves against you. And the moment they sense your momentum, they try to plant doubt. Are you sure that'll work? Shouldn't you do it this way instead? Haven't others already done that? They smile, but their words are planting weeds. And it's not always out of malice. Sometimes it's just fear, their own fear, their insecurities projected onto your growth. But whether it's envy or ignorance, the damage is the same. Your focus starts to fracture. Your peace starts to leak. Your once clear vision begins to blur with their noise. That's why the Stoics taught us this ancient truth. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Because most of the pain doesn't come from failure. It comes from overthinking, from letting too many voices into the room where your next version is being built. So you've got to close the door. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You've got to learn to fall in love with the quiet work, the unglamorous effort, the days where it's just you, your goal, and the voice in your head telling you to keep going. That's the grind most won't respect until they see the results. But by then, it's too late for them to have an opinion. The work will speak for itself. You don't need to broadcast every chapter. You don't owe the world updates. Your process isn't public property. It's yours, private, powerful, protected. And the more sacred you treat it, the more unshakable it becomes. You ever notice how the loudest ones rarely finish? They post every step, announce every move, share every idea. Somewhere along the way, they lose steam because they use their energy trying to look productive instead of being productive. They give away their progress before it was ready to stand on its own. Don't be them. Be the storm that builds in silence. Be the legend that no one sees coming. Be the architect behind the curtain. Work so quietly that when it's time to reveal, even your enemies are speechless. Because they won't just see results. They'll see a level of discipline, focus, and depth that can't be faked. So don't water down your vision by inviting spectators too soon. Let it marinate. Let it grow deep roots. Let it become bulletproof behind the scenes. And when it's ready, truly ready, it won't need an introduction. It will speak with force, move with certainty, and rise so powerfully that even from a distance, they'll feel it. Type this in the comments right now. My progress is sacred. Let it be your armor, your standard. Let it be the reason you keep your head down and your spirit up. You're not hiding, you're building, you're not avoiding, you're evolving. And what's coming next? They won't just see it, they'll feel it. Stay with me. We're just getting warmed up. Mastery over noise. Why Stoics don't chase applause. Don't confuse visibility with value. What is seen by many isn't always built to last. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are chasing noise, not mastery. They want the applause before they've earned the stripes. They want the title without the work. The moment they get a little momentum, they post. The second they feel a spark, they broadcast the flame. But the Stoics moved differently. They didn't live for the claps. They lived for character, discipline, and mastery, the kind of mastery that doesn't beg to be seen, because it doesn't need to be. Look around. We live in a world that rewards performance over progress. Say something loud enough, repeat it often enough, and suddenly you're an expert. Suddenly you're successful. But it's all surface, all spotlight, no substance. And the worst part, most people fall for it. They think if they're not being noticed, they're not doing enough. That if their work isn't getting likes, it must not be valuable. And that lie right there, that's what kills real greatness. Let me take you back to ancient Rome. The great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius had the weight of an empire on his shoulders. Yet in his private journal Meditations, he reminded himself daily not to be seduced by fame, recognition, or ego. He wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." Imagine that one of the most powerful men in history reminding himself not to chase applause, because he knew that once you start living for the claps, you start dying without them. Now picture a craftsman in his workshop. No windows, no audience, just tools, sweat, and time. He sharpens his skill not for fame, but for excellence. He doesn't rush the process to please a crowd. He refines, he perfects day after day, year after year. And when the final product is revealed, it stuns people, not because it was loud, but because it was real. That's the kind of work the Stoics live for. Quiet, focused, timeless. But chasing applause, it's addictive. It feels good. Every like, every comment, every compliment gives you a hit of validation. But that's all it is. A hit, a rush. And like all addictions, it fades fast. The problem is, once you start needing applause to move, you become a puppet to opinion. One bad comment and you spiral. One silent post and you panic. You lose your fire because someone else didn't clap. And that, my friends, is the fastest way to kill your potential. The Stoics knew that true power isn't reactive. It's consistent, quiet, and self-directed. You don't do the work for attention. You do it because it's who you are. You train because you refuse to be weak. You study because ignorance isn't an option. You push forward, not because people are watching, but because you made a vow to yourself. Mastery doesn't crave applause. It craves growth, precision. And the ones who chase it don't have time to explain themselves to the crowd. They're too busy refining, too busy becoming. While others perform, they prepare. While others talk, they train. While others seek attention, they build legacies. So here's the shift. Stop measuring your worth by reaction. Stop confusing noise with progress. Not every step has to be seen. Not every move has to be shared. The most powerful people in history built in silence, failed in silence, and rose in silence. And when their work was finally revealed, it was untouchable. Type this in the comments right now. I choose mastery over noise. Let that be your standard, your anchor. Every time you feel the pull to post before you've produced, remember why you started. You're not here for the temporary. You're here for the timeless. You don't need the world to clap. You just need to keep going. And what's coming next? It's not just louder, it's legendary. Stay with me. The silence is where greatness is born. Champions are not made in front of crowds. Champions are made when no one is watching. Here's what nobody tells you. The real work happens when nobody's cheering. No cameras, no compliments, just you, your goals, and that voice in your head telling you to quit. That's where discipline is born. In the shadows, in the quiet, in the repetition that nobody sees. You don't become legendary in the spotlight. You become legendary before the spotlight ever shows up. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a fighter, not in the ring, not on fight night, but in the gym alone before sunrise, hitting the bag while the world sleeps. No crowd, no hype, just sweat hitting the mat and the sound of breath and fists. That's the training no one posts. That's the discipline no one applauds. But that's the part that wins the fight. Not the moment they raise his hand, but every invisible, brutal, lonely round that led up to it. And here's the thing, my friends, that's you. You're in that season right now. You're swinging in silence, grinding when no one notices. I know it's exhausting. It's thankless. Some days it feels like nobody cares, like all this effort is going unnoticed. But I promise you, it's working. Every small choice you make to show up, to stay focused, to keep going, it's building something the world won't understand until it's too late. Let's talk about why it's so hard. Why does discipline in silence feel like punishment? Because we've been trained to associate effort with recognition since we were kids. You do something good, you get a gold star. You work hard, and someone claps. You achieve, you share it, and people celebrate. But in the real world, it's different. There's no audience in the gym, no applause in the dark. And that's where most people tap out. They think the silence means it's not working. But in reality, the silence is the work. Discipline is a muscle, and just like any muscle, it grows when it's pushed beyond comfort. You build it when you don't feel like showing up, but you do. You build it when your emotions beg you to quit, but your vision says keep going. You build it when it's just you and the mirror. No filters, no edits, just raw accountability. That's the version of you that will scare people one day. Not because you're loud, but because you became unstoppable without needing anyone to notice. And that's what separates the almosts from the greats. The almost made it because they waited to feel motivated. The greats made it because they moved without it. They didn't need a crowd. They didn't need a pat on the back. They had discipline, hunger, and a vision that was so clear, so personal, so powerful, it lit their fire even in total darkness. So if you're in that phase right now, where it's lonely, quiet, and invisible, congratulations. You're right where you're supposed to be. This is the part nobody glamorizes, but it's the part that changes everything. Because when discipline becomes your baseline, success becomes inevitable. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Think about the bamboo tree. For years it shows no visible growth, nothing. But under the surface its roots are stretching deep, anchoring into the ground. And then suddenly, in just weeks, it shoots up higher than most trees around it. People call it overnight success. But you and I know the truth. It was discipline in the shadows all along. Type it in the comments right now. I train in silence. Let the world sleep on you. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're not doing enough. They won't see it. Not until the roots break the surface. But when it does, oh, they'll know. They'll feel the impact, and they'll realize the silent ones are always the most dangerous. Stay with me. This isn't the end of your story. It's the part that makes the ending legendary. Keep training, keep swinging. Your time is coming. You don't need their approval to win. To win. The moment you stop caring what they think is the moment you become truly dangerous. Let's make something crystal clear. You don't need their validation to keep going. You don't need their permission to become great. You don't need anyone to clap for you, believe in you, or cheer you on. you on. You just need to keep moving, because the second you break free from needing their approval, you step into a level of power that very few people ever reach. The kind of power that's built on inner clarity, not outer applause. I get it. We've all been there. You do something good, something bold, something difficult, and a part of you waits for someone to notice, someone to say, "I'm proud of you," someone to clap, to validate, to say you're on the right track. And when they don't, it hurts. You start to question, did I make the right choice? Am I even doing enough? Why does no one care? But here's the thing, my friends, they're not supposed to care, not because you're not worthy, but because it was never their path to understand. This journey, your transformation, your rise, your redemption, it's yours, personal, sacred, customized. They don't see the full picture. They don't know the nights you cried in silence, the battles you fought behind closed doors, the temptations you overcame when nobody would have known if you gave in. So, why are you trying to get approval from people who haven't walked a single step in your shoes? It's time to detach emotionally, mentally, spiritually from the weight of being seen, from the need to be understood, from the constant pull of people-pleasing. Because that's the chain, that's the trap, that's the invisible rope around your neck keeping you from flying higher. They don't need to get it, they don't need to support it. And guess what? Some of them never will, not because you're wrong, but because your growth triggers their comfort. Your silence exposes their noise. Your discipline reminds them of everything they've been avoiding. That's why they doubt you. That's why they talk. That's why they try to poke holes in what you're building. Because deep down, your progress makes them uncomfortable. And here's where most people mess up. They shrink, they over-explain. They water themselves down just to keep others comfortable. But you're not built for that. You weren't made to shrink, you were made to evolve. And evolution doesn't ask for approval. It just happens with or without applause. Look at nature. The sun doesn't ask if it's shining too bright. The river doesn't apologize for its force. The eagle doesn't wait for permission to fly higher than the rest. They just do what they're made to do, and so should you. You ever notice how the more focused you get, the quieter you become? That's not isolation. That's evolution. That's detachment. That's when you realize that peace is greater than attention, mastery greater than validation, fulfillment greater than applause. And you stop performing, you stop explaining, you stop giving people the front row seat to a life they're not qualified to understand. Marcus Aurelius said it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Let that hit. You've spent too long bending for others, second-guessing yourself for people who wouldn't even lift a finger to help you build. No more. Not now. Not in this season. This version of you is dangerous because now you don't need the noise. You don't need the claps. You don't need the crowd. You become your own source. You validate yourself. You push yourself. You impress yourself. And that's the kind of fire that never burns out. That's the kind of power no one can take from you. Because when you don't need their love, praise, or approval, you become untouchable. So type it in the comments right now. I need no one's approval. Say it, feel it, live it. That's your armor, your freedom, your truth. Show them what detachment looks like. Show yourself what real strength feels like, and show the world around you that you didn't come to be understood. You came to evolve. Stay with me, because what's coming next won't need applause. It'll speak for itself. When the time comes, let your results speak. Work hard in silence. Let success make the noise. There will come a moment, my friend, a moment when all the silence, all the sacrifice, all the lonely nights you spent grinding in the dark will suddenly light up the sky, not with fireworks, not with noise, but with undeniable proof. And when that moment comes, say nothing. Don't flex, don't clap back, don't explain how hard it was. Just let your results walk in and speak for you, louder than any words ever could. Because the truth is, you never needed to scream. You just needed to become. While they were talking, doubting, laughing, and watching, you were building, quietly, patiently, ruthless. And now that the foundation is strong, now that the roots are deep, now that the storm has passed, it's time for the world to see what grew in your silence. Not because you showed them, but because they can't ignore it anymore. You see, there's power in restraint, in not needing to announce every win, in not begging people to believe in you. You didn't need them when you were bleeding, so don't go back looking for applause now that you're blooming. The win is yours. It was always for you, not for them. They didn't help you train. They didn't stay up with you at 3 a.m. while your heart was breaking. They weren't in the room when you chose discipline over distractions. So why should they get a front row seat now? Let me tell you something real. The people who doubted you, the ones who ghosted you, the ones who smirked when you failed, they don't deserve an explanation. They deserve silence. Let your success sting. Let it echo in rooms they didn't think you'd ever enter. Let it be the proof they never thought would come. And the beauty of it, you won't have to say a word, because your work, your results, will speak volumes without your voice ever needing to rise. Think about the greats, the legends, the ones who made history. They didn't spend time proving people wrong. They didn't go back to argue. They let the scoreboard talk. They let the vision unfold. They stayed focused on the mission, and when it all came together, the world had no choice but to pay attention. Not because they shouted, but because their excellence was too loud to ignore. You're not here to prove people wrong. You're here to prove yourself right. That's the difference. One is fueled by ego. The other is fueled by purpose. The moment you stop trying to show them and start trying to honor yourself, you shift into a level of clarity that can't be shaken. You realize it was never about revenge. It was about redemption, not from them, but from the version of you that almost gave up. And yeah, it's tempting when the glow-up starts to show, when the money comes, when the confidence hits, when the silence starts turning heads. You want to post, you want to clap back, you want to scream, "I told you so." But don't. That's small energy. You're past that now. Your success is too big to waste on petty validation. Let them stay confused. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them ask each other, when did he change? When did she level up? But don't answer. Just keep moving. There's a different kind of respect that comes when people have no idea what you're doing. And then suddenly they realize you've built an empire. It's silent dominance, the kind they feel in their bones. And when they try to catch up, it'll be too late. You'll already be 10 steps ahead. Because while they were watching, you were working. So type it in the comments right now. Let the work speak. That's the mantra. That's the move. That's the mentality. No more proving. No more explaining. No more looking back. You don't need to talk about it. You are about it. Stay with me. We're not done yet. What's coming next? Oh, it's not going to need an introduction. It's going to speak for itself.